Good afternoon. My name is Teresa Clingman. I'm the District Attorney from Midland, Texas, and I appreciate the opportunity to speak here, Chairman Villarreal and members of the committee. I'm the District Attorney that the lady that Speaker Craddick references came to when she had taken out that loan and couldn't understand why, having paid almost $13,000 on a loan where she borrowed less than $5,000. Why she couldn't get out from under this loan. Well, put on my district attorney hat and thought, that's got to be illegal. I've got to perfectly legal under the credit service organizations. And had it not been for her employer, she would never have gotten out from under that car title loan without losing her car. And I've been listening to what other folks have said. It's not so much the interest rates, as we all know. You all know that. It's the fees that they charge. And it's the fact that they extend over and over and over again because they want to be responsible. They want to do the right thing. They don't want to go out and steal the money to pay for burying, in this case, their dead relative. They want to pay the money back. But they get into that vicious cycle of not being able to ever get ahead. And so I don't want you to eliminate these businesses. We don't want to take away the storefronts. We don't want people to try to get loans on the internet. But at some point it becomes a matter of what is going to be workable for these folks to be able to borrow money and to be able to pay it back in a respectable, honorable fashion. And one thing that I heard someone say, I think it may have been you, Representative Flynn, said that, where do they go? What is their alternative? Well, I took it upon myself to go back to Midland, and I have the advantage of being on a board of a credit union. And I explained to those other board members what the problems were. And when I explained to them, that folks really do need short-term loans, small amounts of money, what could we do as an organization? We were able to put into place being able to make those loans and still make a profit, if you will, although when I use that term with credit unions, people think, what are you talking about? In other words, to be able to financially viably make those types of loans. And as part of that component, we make it a requirement that they have an educational program to go along with it so that they understand what credit is, so that they understand how they got in that position in the first place and why they need to be saving, why they need not to spend every dime that they get. And no, you can't legislate morality. You can't legislate people doing the right things. But at the same time, if this bill were put into place, you'd have gone a long way for the citizens of Texas to be able to get loans when they need loans for short-term purposes and to be able to get them at an interest rate that was something they could actually pay back.
Ms. Clingman?
Yes.
I have a question. We heard from an earlier witness the concept of a payment program. Do you think this provision would have helped the lady who had the title loan she couldn't pay off? The idea is that, and we're seeing it in other legislative proposals, that if a consumer gets to the end of their ability to pay back the loan, they can ask for an early payment program where the lender has to stop charging fees and interest and give them a number of payments to pay off the original principal and get out of the loan.
Could that help? Mm-hmm. Certainly it could help, yes. Is it the best solution, in my opinion, to what we're facing? No, because if we simply, and it would be so simple to just simply put this under the same regulations as other lending industries, then it would certainly be the most efficient way to handle it. But is what you're talking about, would that help? I think it would.
Members, any questions?
Yes, I have one question. I'm kind of curious. I was in the banking business, and I know when we would loan money on used cars at X number, and we would have borrowers that would have difficulty in paying it, and of course in banks you have a little bit more flexibility. We will renew the loans and rework them and what have you. And after 2 or 3 years, the car was underwater.
Well,
it happened on a regular basis. And I ended up owning the car. The bank did. And people would walk away. And I'm just kind of curious, the example that we've heard cited, what kind of car was that?
It was if I remember correctly, it was a Camry, if I remember
correctly. If you're $13,000 on an initial loan,
that's how much she had paid.
Yeah.
She only borrowed $4,800, something of that nature.
At what point would she say it wasn't worth it anymore?
That's where that factor.
Because they don't report your bad credit.
No.
And so I was saying, I'm kind of curious because it does keep coming back to me. Of at what point do you decide that, you know what, maybe this is a deal I don't need to be involved in?
I can only tell you my experience, and it is that folks want to do the honorable thing. They want to keep their commitment, and when they find themselves in those loans, a lot of time you're not dealing with the most sophisticated borrowers, and all they know is that they borrowed the money and that they need to pay it back. And in that lady's case, it wasn't until when she went in it and asked them, when does this stop? I've paid so much. And they laughed in her face, literally laughed in her face, and said, well, you can either keep making the payments or you can pay it all off or you can give us the car. She never could get far enough ahead to save all the money up at once to be able to give it over to them to get out from under it. Had it not been for a past employer of hers that she went to because of his business acumen and her relationship with him, she would never have gotten out from under that. You have to appreciate the type of individual that you're dealing with.
I promise you, I've spent a few years in the banking industry, and I've had a lot of customers. Yes, I have.
Yeah.
Most of my customers, though, didn't when they got that far past due, they didn't really care about the bank anymore.
And I bet there's a lot of folks, probably most folks are like that. But there's also a large segment of the population that truly want to be honorable in what they're doing.
Do you know if the lender allowed for partial payments?
If my recollection is correct, they did not under that contract. But I'm relying on my memory. I don't think that they did.
Thank you. Members, any more questions? Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your time.